Russia deployed its feared thermobaric missile launcher on its own territory to repel an attack by insurgents, UK intel says.
Here's a summary of the article.
Russia said it deployed at least one thermobaric missile launcher on its own territory, per the UK MOD. Russia said it was to repel attacks, as Russian rebel groups raided Belgorod. It shows Russia has a dilemma between using weapons on its own territory or in Ukraine, the MOD said. Russia deployed at least one thermobaric missile launcher on its own territory to push back partisan attacks, the UK Ministry of Defence said in an intelligence update on Friday. According to the UK MOD, Russia's defense ministry said in a recent press release that it had deployed attack helicopters and the TOS-1A heavy thermobaric rocket launcher to repel attacks in Belgorod, a region that borders Ukraine and where Russian rebels have been active. The UK ministry said this shows Russia has resorted to deploying the full range of military firepower on its own territory in response to recent attacks by partisan groups. Russia has previously deployed thermobaric rocket launchers in Ukraine, according to Ukrainian officials, who shared footage of their forces destroying one. The Liberty of Russia Legion said on Thursday that it would enter the country again soon and teased more attacks, pledging to liberate the whole of Russia.
This post received a score of 23,000, with an upvote ratio of 95%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
So the Russians are bombarding their own territory? Man, people in Belgorod needs to stand up.
There's a saying as Russia that goes something like, in retaliation to Western sanctions government has bombed Voronezh.
Legit, a huge part of Russian culture is taking pride in just accepting shit is horrible and doing nothing about it. They think it shows strength of resolve because no matter what they stick it through, but all it really does is prove your culture hasn't evolved from the serf culture that existed during the Empire days. Russians have yet to actually truly ever stick up for themselves. Even the Soviet Revolution wasn't supported by the majority of residents, but they just sorta stood there and let it happen.
No wonder Russia is so good at making Facebook boomer memes.
It's almost like Russia is the personification of misery loves company. They see and realize their lives and country is shitty. They want to spread that over to other countries and other lives.
Reverse cargo cult is central to the ideology of Putinism. Things are not so bad when you can convince people everywhere is the same.
Exactly. There is no such thing as objective truth. Everybody lies everywhere. Every country is just the same and just as corrupt. So why even try to change, or even think change is possible? Which a lot of people in the West were falling for. Read these talking points. This war has shown the lie of that propaganda.
Ooh yeah, that's been a Republican line here for a long time. Both sides lie. All politicians are corrupt. It's political nihilism and it's absolutely corrosive to society.
It was a line fed to them directly from the Kremlin. Well, via the GRU's internet research agency Botfarm in St. Petersburg lol. Because it's what has been inculcated into the Russian population for over many years. This is why at least 60% are now deeply depoliticized. How many people remember the 200,000-strong protests in Moscow in 2010 anymore? See Vlad Vexler's great video on the subject here, The Riddle of Why Russians Don't Protest.
Get out of our territory or we will blow it up is a hilarious threat.
Sheriff Bart pointing gun at self vibes.
Nobody move or I shoots they. Just can't put it in that sentence. Sorry, too funny. Edit. For any that don't the joke. It is from Blazing Saddles 1973. A very different time and place. I recall around this time that this form of humor began to recede into the past.
Its liberal usage of the word in question is certainly distasteful to our contemporary sensibilities now, and rightfully so, though the usage in the film was always intended to illustrate the harm and ignorance of the word and its racist, intolerant nature, not to promote its usage by anyone. ETA. The Waco Kid, obviously one of the good guys in the film, never once uses the word. In the only scene where he actually uses an insulting word, he does so with grace, legitimacy, and humor, and not a single speck of racism. You know, greatest comedic pause in the history of film.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.